Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope you can hear me all right. I do have my window open and I do have the fan in the other window and I have some of the window shades open. It's very bright and cheery in here. Happy Wednesday, everybody. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I'm your soul writer, and I'm very honored and pleased to be doing the Midweek Cup of Positivity Sip. It's a bonus live stream that I'm doing. Normally at the beginning of my writing sprints on my main channel, Jenna the Soul Writer, we start off with a sip from the cup of positivity, but we don't really go very, very deep into its greater meaning in life. That's more what we're going to do here on Wednesdays with the Soul Bard Collective. And I am so glad to see so many fellow Soul Bards in chat. We do have the link to my sprints in about an hour if you want to go ahead and get that set up in another tab. And if you want to do what I do, because I love doing what I do, and if you want to get better at doing video in social media, because video is king, join So You Want to Be a Blank, AuthorTuber with me. Go ahead and check that out too. Jenny, it's good to see you, and Jess and Heather. Thank you for confirming. Thank you for confirming. So let's go ahead. I'm going to actually do this a little differently than I did last week. So I've got some cards to pull from, some decks of cards to pull from if we need to along the way. We're going to do past and we're going to do future kind of deal. Okay, so you'll get 2 bonus sips today. We haven't visited with some of these, goodness, in over a year. So I thought maybe there's something we need to hear in it. And I'm just going to let one random one fall. That is a handful and a half, and we don't need that many sips. Hello there, Taryn. It's good to see you. I might be having a little bit of need to move my mic. It's over here. I might have to relocate it to the other side of my computer because me facing this way, it might not be catching it in the gate. Don't jinx me, woman. Don't jinx me. Taryn's here, and hello, Kay. It's good to see you, my friend. Kay's one of my fellow admins for the Heart Breathings writing community. I think I linked them in the description box below. If not, I'll get you a link here shortly. Yes, it has been a while since we've gotten this one. My kitty Thor must have had, if you can't tell, she must have played with this one. I'll have to repair it before I put it back. So Carol Burnett reminds us, when you've got to grab it and never let go. When you have it, you've got to grab it and never let go. So the past is, yeah, she likes to have the munchies on stuff she shouldn't be chewing on. So past and future. Ooh, John Muir. I believe he's a comedian. The power of imagination makes us infinite. Ooh, that's true. Hence why they both begin with I's, not E's, right? The whole I means ongoing, E does not in Latin, Greek root word basing. So what aren't you grabbing onto in your imaginations right now, guys? Like, okay, let's address the obvious. Let's go logical here, Aristotle. Let's go logical. Are you just procrastinating? I mean, Mel Robbins, the whole 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no more excuses, just do it, does apply. It's why one of my favorite traditional authors, J.R. Ward, is so prolific, in my opinion. In one of her interviews that she did like 4 years ago, she says, the reason why I have 30, 50 books out on the market now, probably more than that knowing her, is because I just do my routine. It is my routine. No excuses. Now, she doesn't have a yes crew. She has a WTF are you doing flash mob, as I like to call them. Thank you, Kay, for being part of my WTF are you doing flash mob here recently, just saying. Anyway. So let me be your flash mob. What aren't you grabbing onto? what excuse? Now, there are legitimate reasons. As someone who's going through grief right now, there are legitimate reasons. But what are just excuses that you're relying on? Okay? What are your excuses? Is it shiny project syndrome? That could be a different meaning to this completely. I mean, I just finished book 4 to that. I have book 5 to that to put out. I have 3 side quest stories already that are like collections of short stories. Well, one's an actual side quest novel I have to write yet. Plus, I have Regolith's Relics, which is 12 books in the same timeline, thousands of years in the future. And then I have Vitae Atlantica, which runs alongside the season 2 to that I need to write. So, yeah, Shiny Project Syndrome, Carol Burnett. She ran a variety show. That makes perfect sense to go that way, too. Because she probably knows what this feels like. If you didn't know, the Carol Burnett show, it's where Mama's Family came from. If you know the TV show Mama's Family with Vicki Lawrence, that's where it came from. Was Carol Burnett's Comedy Hour, basically. So she probably, Taryn, that was smart insight there, my friend. That was smart insight. Exactly this. You need to get comfortable with not being able to do every idea. You're going to try and catch every single one that comes your way. But sometimes the spaghetti doesn't stick for a reason, and sometimes the spaghetti does stick for a reason. To kind of recap what was said earlier about spaghetti, and yes, all of us are indeed rocking it out. See, this is another thing. Excuses are not... mental health is not an excuse. Let me preface. As someone with PTSD and who is a recovering social recluse, mental health matters, okay? Now, I will admit there are some days where I don't fight the depression as hard as I do other days, and so on applies, right? There are days where it's not a choice. So I will be gentle on you guys in that regards, but it does, for some of us, we start to beat ourselves up when we can't tell the fine line difference between what's an excuse and what's legit, I'm not taking care of me. Because that could be that, going into John here, your imagination, your brain ain't gonna work. It's literally gonna say, looky here, you've got to give me some proper food and fuel before I can do the things some days. And considering that for some of us, allergies are right here in our sinuses, right around our thinking part of our body, take your meds, get your routine down, do what you can that day. But yeah, what can we do to unclogging sinuses, pun included, unclog the drain, right? So it comes down to it sometimes of, there's not an excuse, but am I letting my body win instead of helping my body win? You see what I mean? Letting your body win means you're letting the kid have the prize after they threw the fit. Versus, okay, honey, I know you want this prize. Let's calm down. Can you gentle parent yourself versus condemning yourself? Because the condemning normally goes into the giving up, whereas, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop, think, breathe, pause. What do I need that is something I can do right now to fix this problem so it goes away? Slightly different conversation with yourself is what I would advise there. So definitely take care of you. And it's because of this. I see I have all female presenting peoples here in the chat. Women tend to say we're fine, even though we have 20 plus crises going on. This is true. Because we're taught to over masculinize ourselves. I think we talked about this a little bit, if not here, then in previous chat on Sitting Down with Soul Writer Unscripted last Sunday. So I don't want to go too much further into it topically, but it comes down to boundaries, not just with others, because we know how others can drain us and strain us. And you have to be careful with fighting through things. Yeah. Sometimes it's the fighting that's causing the problem. Sometimes fighting the depression is the problem. If you need to go cry, please plug up your ears with something if you need to. That'll make you feel better as you're crying it out, but please go cry. If you need someone, me included, to virtually, physically sit with you while you do so, let it go through you. One of my teachers in Full-Time Purpose, Matt Schaefer, does Mondays with Matt on Facebook. It's free. You can join in. It's totally rocking. If you literally Google Matt Schaefer relationship coach, Facebook, you'll probably find him. I can go ahead and find the link for you here, actually, if my computer's going to behave with the loading. But this is something that Matt was going into. The difference between life happening to you, for you, through you. There's different levels to it. So we often, as women, also do say, coming back to this, my day happened to me. Did it really? Because that's negative. That's totally negative. It makes you seem like you are powerless and have zero say or control in the situation. And that's the link to Matt on his Facebook end. On the other hand, going to happen for you, you start looking at the, okay, is there something I'm taking for granted? Was there a positive that I could focus on that I'm choosing not to? And yeah, kind of calling yourself out a little bit, but at the same time, you might be imagining things that are infinitely there that really aren't. And I'm saying this as someone who's guilty of getting wrapped up in overthinking. I'm saying this as somebody who is the daughter of parents who would question everything you did that they didn't like to do solely for the sake of taking their bad day out on you. I'm hugging all of you really hard because I have a feeling some of you feel the call out. We're little teapots, short and stout. Let's blow off our spouts a little bit collectively in healthier ways, right? Overthinking, what's that? You know, the thing that keeps us up at night. Insomniacs unite. The thing that keeps us up at night. Insomniacs unite. But the other item that, to circle back around to Matt, was I need to let some things happen through me. Now, mind you, I heard this conversation days after a very dear family member of ours passed unexpectedly. And I said, my grief needs to happen through me. It didn't happen to me. Good Lord, did it happen for me, because I got a wake-up call not to take anybody or anything for granted. And that I need to reevaluate my relationship with time, and therefore reevaluate my relationship with money, and then reevaluate my relationship with being a workaholic. You see how we can onion this, fellow ogres? We can Shrek this a little bit if we wanted to and get really specific. There is a difference between, yeah, my emotions are a little off today. Yes. And this is the old analogy I would give my students of, are you having a bad hair day, or is it legit you need to press the reset button on the Nintendo? How bad is the bad day? Because there's a lot of things that we would toss into the extremely annoying, but my hair is a bad day, I'll get over it, versus the some of us really need a reset on certain days just to redo it. But will our responses and other people's involvement, regardless of our responses, be the same? Yeah. I was going to say, some of us can't get away from writing serial things for this reason, right? But we want to know what this character does. We want to know how their kids turn out, right? Hugs to you big time, sweetie. And yes. A therapist once told me that insomnia is just your imagination's way of making sure you're taking care of you. Inner child, we need to have a conversation then. Because my imaginary friends now are making us money. Keep that in mind, fellow writers. Your imaginary friends, you know, those things that your parents tried to talk you out of having, they're now paying the rent in some cases, right? Or at least that's the goal. I know. And I actually was just thinking about you with this because we did sprints last night. Woo! And we're about to go do sprints here in a second. If you're wondering what I'm shuffling, for those of you who are not familiar with my writing sprints, this is Brienne Hovey's Soul Truth Self-Awareness deck. It's been a while. I figured since we have Cats Against Anxiety helping us out with sprints on the occasion, why not go back to see if we can recap anything we possibly missed from these cards. So we got 2. I love the feathers on these. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. We're going to go with this pretty pink Barbie looking one first. What are you most afraid of losing? Soul Bards. What are you losing? As we grow, change and transform our lives, it requires us to let go of something that was. Oh, man. Okay. I'm listening, grief. This is your lesson, right? Oh, to make room for what will be. If you were to take the big leap today, would you feel scared of losing love, safety, belonging, all 3? What if it was a big fat lie? What if it was impossible to lose any of those things because you have the power to give everything you need and to receive it? Because if you're going to give it, you got to be able to receive it. There's 2 sides to that coin, right? That you need to yourself. Today's soul action. Name that fear and look at the worst case scenario. Find a solution. Take your power back by being certain of who you are and where you are going. Today's mantra. I move forward knowing I am powerful beyond measure. I am loved. I am safe. You definitely do belong. I want to hug you guys, gals and pals, so much right now. And then the other card that jumped out at me was, how can I be more flexible? Because actually, yeah. If you're afraid of losing something, you're going to tense up. Right? Yes. This. I have that as well, my friend. I have that as well as part of like a secondary thing to my it's why I'm a social recluse in part with the PTSD. There you go. But what are you trying to control? Maybe it's time to let go. Whoa. Are you losing if you're letting go? Like holding on to a rope too tight? Are you giving yourself rope burn when you shouldn't be? Hugs. Stop burning yourself. Let love move through you today and trust the outcome, okay? It will be for your highest good. Soul action number 2. Remind yourself all day long that you are safe, that life is happening. I can't make this up. I got cold chills. Because I didn't read the back of this card until now. What was I saying a little bit ago? Remind yourself all day that you are safe, that life is happening through you. Yeah. And that you are not alone. Then do some yoga. I love the little cap off theirs. Then do some yoga. Oh, internalize it mentally, then internalize it physically. Got it. The hashtag guilty, but also cold chills because they haven't sat anywhere near each other for a couple months and they're chattering again as if they're best friends. And they just sat down for lunch after not seeing each other since high school and they're in their 50s. Yeah. This is partially it. Now, some coping, I wouldn't say all coping mechanisms need to go out the window, but refresh them, kind of like your physical diet. Are my coping mechanisms actually serving the system? I mean, saying this as somebody who has insulin resistance, which in every other part of the world, they call it diabetes type 3, apparently. That was lovely news to learn the other day. Talking to a friend who apparently is a fellow writer who's a doctor in another country. They're like, we call that type 3 diabetes here. Why aren't you on insulin? And I'm like, anyway, yeah, I'm checking into that with my doctor now. But kind of going into other things of that vein of thought, we need to review our systems of how we're treating ourselves as much as we review our diets, at least once a year. I mean, most of us do visit the diet platform either January, right about now to prepare for last-ditch efforts of summer. Oh my goodness, in May, because Memorial Day is about to hit, and if I don't try to lose that pesky 10 pounds now, I won't even get into last year's. You see, there's logical times of years where we're forced to address what we put in our body through our digestive tract, but we don't do this when it comes to our physical consumption tract as much as we do with our mental consumption tract. That's our coping mechanisms, right? In my opinion, coping mechanisms are the digestive tract of the brain. How else do we filter life as humans? Exactly. You need to review it. But it's a perfect analogy, though. This is the perfect analogy. You need to review it every once in a while. See? They go hand in hand, believe it or not, when you find out that diabetes messes not just with the hormone insulin, but in the regards of women, it messes with our whole factory because it means that there's something wrong with your pineal gland. And I only know that because I've been to so many endocrinologists over the years for my PCOS that they don't even look at what I eat. They're looking at how my pineal gland, or as some spiritual people here are going, oh my God, she's pointing to her third eye. They're right next to each other for a reason, in my opinion. There's no coincidence to that if you believe in spirituality and the placement of the chakras. So yeah, that's why I now understand that spiritually, some women who go through what I go through with the PCOS lean into a more blended modality of treatment. The Western end of their treatment with the acupressure, acupuncture, Reiki tends to help with the mental end of the PCOS more so than treating whatever is causing the PCOS physically does to help. So I'm starting to be more open just to even see if it works at this point. Because I haven't tried it. I have tried the purely Eastern version. That's what they're calling it now. Yes, mixed therapy. I didn't know if that was an acceptable term, but homeopathic or mixed homeopathism is something else I've heard it called too. I'm not going to knock it till I try it personally at this point, just because I've tried everything else. I've done the injections. I've done everything except IVF, and I got to lose another 15 pounds before I qualify to do IVF. And then save $20,000 and pray to God it works, because you don't get that $20,000 back if it doesn't work. So those of you who are having the hormone imbalances for any disease reasoning or disorder reasoning, huge hugs to you. I mean, even goodness, something. I think most of us here in America are starting to accept that a blend works for you, so be it. And that's why I love doing stuff like this. Yeah, it's a little woo-woo. It's a little witchy. I get to lean into something I'm super nerdy about, because tarot cards have a lot of historical meaning. And I mean, my leading lady is basically a pharaoh in the making. So you see where my nerdy tendencies prefer to go. So I am going to draw tarot. Now, for those of you who are not a fan of, you're welcome to depart if you like. I take no fault against it. I am a former Catholic, but I don't view these as necessarily evil. Why? Because they literally tell a story. Each card is a page in a book, believe it or not. When you look at one of the two historical significances of tarot, it tells a story, the fool's journey. I like to compare it to the hero's journey, because in a way, the fool can end up being the hero and more. Kind of like how the kids who walk into the closets of Narnia, to give you a Christian story reference there, because if you didn't know, that's a Christian story with a lot of tarot symbolism in it. Just saying. Anyway, Narnia, like walking into there as a little kid, you can walk into the story of the fool and get a completely different outcome depending on how things go. Sometimes you end up being a queen, or sometimes you end up working for the queen and not liking it. For those of you who know the plot of Narnia a little bit there. Yes, very much, very much. Love myself a little nerdy reference to Narnia. I would have never known it had Christian overtones if you hadn't told me. That's why I love it. So, let's go ahead and see. Well, I don't know why you all didn't get shuffled in, but there were a couple cards sitting off to the side that didn't get shuffled in. Let me throw those in there right quick. I doubt they'll get picked, but sometimes you see stuff for a reason and it's not a coincidence. I don't question coincidences anymore after what happened to me this past week. And of course, it was one of the cards that was sitting there in the pile. Of course, it was the Three of Cups. This card, somebody once told me, 3 is a crowd, or is it? And I'm like, that's true, because you need 3 people to have a party, and this is all about celebrations. It must be a rockin' party if it's going showing off stage. Delight, celebrations, parties, gatherings, social events. Is that what you need? Is that what you need, my friend? Is that what you need? I think a healthy dose of time with friends is always good. I mean, it's not bad advice. Is that what you're losing out on? I hope not. I hope not. I know. This was me. There's a huge closet that if you go look at some of the old videos on my main channel, you'll see this big brown wall that my Kanban board used to hang from. That was a closet. That was my Narnia closet growing up. So if you're wondering, yes, I'll put that in there later. The Narnia time is much needed. Hey, you're the one concocting a social event to come see me. I don't want to hear about it. For those of you who don't know, there's going to be some fun vlogs on a couple channels in April, potentially. Because let's get real, there is no way we are not vlogging that weekend if this happens the way it's all planned. Yes, you definitely earned a hug. You earned some social time, and we're getting ready to go do some writing sprints in about 30 minutes and counting down on my other channel. So if you want to go and get a little bit social while also getting a little bit of productive infiniteness out of your imagination with your imaginary friends, who, even if they are not yet earning you money, will one day pay your rent. I am very certain and sure of that. Come and join us. Come and join us for sure. Oh, yes. See, shh. Yet. I will say no more. I intended to say it only on here if I meant to, but we'll see. All right. We're going to go ahead and wind down from here, everybody. And I'll see you all on my other channel in about half an hour. This. Go on a date with your imaginary friends. Seriously. It doesn't have to cost you any money. I go on a date with my imaginary friends every single time I walk out those double doors and sit on my patio in the morning with my coffee. That's my time, and it is my date with my imaginary friends because they're going to pay the rent one day. And they're proud to do it. Why? We're the recorder of that fool's journey. We're the recorder of that hero's journey. And therefore, if you've seen Witcher, you know how well the bard gets treated. Best of all. I mean, goodness, that's why Shakespeare is called the Bard. Best paid guy in England. Take care of you, fellow soul bards. I'll see you on my other channel in a bit. Bye.